Hello, Dr. Deem. Hello, everyone. My article is about challenges to building a knowledge society and the role of literacy in promoting critical thinking in the UAE. The main points of the article: we will talk about the development and the knowledge economy. We will understand the differences between reading theories and literacy theory, the relation between reading and critical thinking, how can reading and and critical thinking improve and build literacy. Also, in addition to literacy in the UAE, in the context of UAE, international efforts done by many countries to promote the literacy and the recommendations in the article, and my own conclusion. UAE's development and knowledge economy. So let's first start talking about UAE's development. Since the foundation back in 1971, a lot of changes happened in UAE, such as the improvement in the sectors of education, healthcare, and infrastructure, with a ranking of #1 in overall human development. And then the government took a decision in the revision in 2021 to create a knowledge economy instead of the oil-driven one. How can this happen? How can I change a country from being or depending mainly on oil and the physical capital to depending on humans and investing in knowledge? This will happen first by investment of and creation of knowledge and innovation. So first of all, I will start by teaching the kids how to read. Then reading and understanding what they read, understanding what's between the lines, being able to observe, conclude, will automatically improve their literacy skills. They will become critical thinkers. Later on, they will be strong enough to have the ability to take decisions, also become innovative and creative. Later on, creating entrepreneurs that can lead and also can take care of their own business, create things that are not here, and invent things that we never heard of. First of all, the reading theory versus the literacy theory. So the reading, it's a process that involves reading, decoding, analyzing, hypothesizing, and so on. It started first by understanding or knowing the letters, and then the sounds, and then the words, and then making sense of these words, and so on. UAE in 2014 focused on the first step of understanding and reading, which is decoding. So when the students first start understanding and knowing the literal meaning of the words, later on they will be able, step by step, following specific practices, to draw conclusions and critically evaluate what they read. So the point here, it's not just reading the words and understanding them, it's actually being able to read what's between the lines. So reaching the point of drawing conclusions and critical evaluation, this means that the student himself is able to read what's between the lines, take decisions, and also conclude and create his own opinion about what he read. Historically speaking, it is believed that reading originally focuses on pronunciation of words, and this is the first step in the triangle that you can see over here, which is the decoding. This is, of course, by Fisher 2003. Now let's go to the literacy theory, and it's defined by the ability to read and write. So also literacy is obtained by formal education, involves an acquisition of set of reading skills. You'll be able to predict, identify the main idea, evaluate the text. These are the two main differences between reading theory and literacy theory. Let's move on to the critical thinking. So let's agree first that a student needs to know how to read, and needs to know how to understand what he read. So not only just knowing the literal meaning of the words, but actually understanding and reading what's between the lines, knowing what the topic is about, and going more into in depth and in details. So how can a student become a critical thinker? So not just only reading the text, of course, the reader must be able to analyze the text, compare between different parts of the text, evaluate it, and determine the text claims and their validity. Let's agree as well that a good reader is also able to create and test their hypothesis, so they can guess something and then test if their hypothesis turned out to be right or wrong. Also distinguish the fact from fiction and argue for or against the points of the text. So the critical reading requires reflection, judgment, and reasoning. So after I read, I understand. Now it's time for me to create my own opinion, judge my opinion, reflect on what I learned, and understand what I learned. Now let's go to building literacy. So first of all, if a student can critically think, this will help them in building literacy. So building literacy produces strong thinkers and critical thinkers. The UAE's vision for 2021 calls for a knowledgeable and innovative Emiratis to build competitive and resilient economy. And this is, of course, will be achieved if Emiratis entered higher education, enrich their minds with the knowledge, continued by going to college and higher education. And all of these steps must start first by reading, understanding what we read, and following specific practices that we will talk about now. home environment and literacy. So first of all, let's agree that the education improves and becomes better when the student starts from very young age. All the parents must have a print-rich home. What is meant by print-rich home? Print-rich home is a home that has a lot of books, newspaper, articles, anything, any things that the students can read, access to reading from young age, reading and of course exploring. So, proven by the comparative study that compared between the facilitative mothers and the conductive mothers, definitely students that come from a background of a print-rich home do better at school. So, the facilitative mothers are the moms who support their kids from very young age, read for them, provide all the books that they need, and so on. The conductive mothers are the parents that fully depend on the school to do this, and they do not interfere or become a part of the students' learning or education process at any point. So it was proven that the students that get all their attention from the nannies, they grow up with very weak English and Arabic skills, and only 9% of the Emirati students are raised in a print-rich home with facilitative mother that reads for them at night before they sleep and so on, which definitely, of course, affects the students and the kids' literacy skills. Let's talk more and go in depth in the home environment in the UAE. So, of course, as we know, the UAE is a society that consists of face-to-face interactions with a very special connection because they are all tribal. So, this is the history, and they depend more on the oral and spoken language. So, with the oral, of course, literacy shaping the nations and the homes and the culture, the written literacy needed is definitely needed to build a knowledge. First of all, 22% of Emiratis consider themselves as readers. All of these were based on many researches, all these numbers. So first of all, 22% of Emiratis consider themselves as readers. 52% of students surveyed at high school educational institution in UAE grew up with fewer, less than 50 books at their home. When asked if reading is important, 20% of the students answered no. When they asked that if it is the reading important for life, they said no. And only 9% reported that their parents ever read to them as children. Now, the school environment and the literacy in the context of UAE. When we talk about schools, let's agree that they're the second fundamental factor. We agree that the home is the first one. There are many programs that are being applied in many schools worldwide that supports the children reading. And of course, in addition to the free voluntary reading, which found to be very successful in so many countries, especially in North America. And also some schools have the sustained silent reading programs, or that's what they follow. Based on PISA 2012, it revealed that only 36% of the students assessed in reading reached the level of the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, which is definitely, and those are, of course, are the one who deemed the necessary for succeeding in a knowledge economy, which is definitely something very, very surprising. This percentage should go up. Based on the Word Fact book for 2013, reports of the overall literacy was 89.5% for the males in the UAE and 91.5% the rate for the females in UAE. So as you can see over here in these two tables, on the one on the left, this shows how often students read in a week. So this is table number 3. You will find that around 37% of students read one time a week. And over here on the table on the right, it shows how much time students spend reading in a week. So this shows the time. And around 45% of the students read from 10 to 20 minutes. So as you can see in front of you, numbers are talking. These percentages are very low for and with these numbers, it would be a great challenge for UAE to become a knowledge society, which from my point of view needs to go up. Let's look at the international efforts to promote literacy. So first of all, for Japan and South Africa, it was noticed that they had very huge, big campaigns to support the children's reading gear. For example, workshop, exhibitions, talks, and so on. In South Africa, there was a big campaign called the Big Read campaign, and this showed a lot when it comes to numbers. So in Japan, the literacy rate jumped up to 99%. Let's go to Singapore. They built a very large library, and that was built inside a shopping mall to give the kids and everybody in the community itself an easy access to the books. While in South Korea, for an example, they had this great idea of giving newborns and the mothers packs full of books, and the children will start using them when they grow. And more than 120,000 kids received it, which is absolutely fantastic and different. In England as well, A lot of organizations supported the reading. In addition to USA, for example, McDonald's had campaigns for reading. So instead of giving students toys for the Happy Meal, they gave them small little tiny books. In Ireland, they succeeded to have the world's record in the most authors reading consecutively from their books. Also, what was surprising was Bahrain and Qatar. So Bahrain, there was a lot of home-focused mother-child initiative program. So mother-child, it was called Mother-Child Home Education Program that aims to empower the women to equip their children with all the preschool literacy skills through training and material. And also, Bahrain stands at 94.6% of the World Factbook 2013. In addition to Qatar, whose literacy rate jumped up to 96.3%, among the highest in the region. So these were some of the recommendations found. So basically, public reading campaigns involving the families, uh, changing the curriculum, assessing the curriculum to fit the needs of the student, also making sure that the teachers themselves have the perfect professional development to give the students all the support that they need. So all of these are recommendations found in the. So first of all, what are the conclusions that I found in the article? First of all, the development of reading across the UAE, it starts first from the home and then also to the school. When the students are getting all the attention and all the support that they need from their home and their school, this will result in building the students' reading skills. Later on, this will develop into the critical thinking skills, which will automatically result in building literacy skills, replacing UAE's oil-driven economy into the knowledge economy. Why? Because the students then will have enough critical thinking that will help them take decisions, start their own businesses, becoming entrepreneurs in so many fields, and so on. Now, what are my recommendations? UAE needs to start with the home, with the parents, with the families. Families need to know how important it is to read. Families need to know how important it is to improve the literacy and the critical thinking of the students. Many campaigns can be done. We can add competitions all across UAE for the best readers. We can help book fair. We can provide the parents with materials. We can provide them with with how can we do this. Even school can provide training for the parents to help them out and make sure that they understand what they need to do. Later on, there is one more recommendation, which is the teacher's role over here. So as a teacher, first, I need to understand my student. I need to understand the needs of my student. I need to give my student feedback. I need to follow up. I need to check the student's reading, Lexile level, support them with all the materials that I have, contact the parents. And all of this, of course, if we start from the student, parents, teachers, schools together, the student will definitely improve and the reading skills will improve, and everything else will automatically improve. Thank you so much. Bye.